Hello, I'm Paul Spicer, and I want to tell you about an unusual and really exciting concert programme, which I hope will really whet your appetite and encourage you to come to join the Whitehall Choir with pianists Lindy Tennant-Brown and James Longford at the Banqueting House in Whitehall on Monday the 11th of July at 7 p.m. Imagine sitting in that extraordinary room looking up at the amazing ceiling painting by Rubens, his only surviving in situ ceiling painting, and listening to great singing and playing, followed by a lovely hot supper and a glass of wine. Now, that's what I call a great evening. We're performing two works from the 20th century, Stravinsky's Great Symphony of Psalms and George Dyson's The Blacksmiths. As well as this feast of choral music, the Longford-Brown duo will play a rare work for two pianos by Arnold Bax called Moi Mel. This is also a rare opportunity to hear the Symphony of Psalms in an arrangement for two pianos and choir. Stravinsky's orchestration of the work is huge and very unusual. This arrangement, which will suit the scale of this performance, works perfectly and picks up on both the amazing percussive and beautifully lyrical elements of this wonderful work. Stravinsky was commissioned to write it by the Boston Symphony Orchestra for their 50th anniversary in 1930. His publisher actually asked him to write something popular, and Stravinsky responded to this by taking it to mean something universally admired, a neat way of still writing what he wanted to write. But he did say that he chose Psalm 150 for his third movement because of its popularity. One doesn't really associate Stravinsky with religious fervour, but he said that his first movement was written in a state of religious and musical ebullience. He also said that the great fanfares and galloping figures in the final movement were inspired by a vision of Elijah's chariot climbing to the heavens. Never before had I written anything quite so literal as the triplets for horns and piano to suggest the horses and chariot. And the final hymn of praise, that wonderful Laudate Eum section, must be thought of as issuing from the skies. In his own programme note, he ends with a wonderfully cryptic statement. One hopes to worship God with a little art if one has any, and if one hasn't and cannot recognise it in others, then one can at least burn a little incense. This work always leaves a lasting impression on singers and audience alike. It's a powerfully emotive work. George Dyson's The Blacksmiths is an equally remarkable piece, but is, of course, much less well known. It was written for the Leeds Festival in 1934, so is contemporaneous with Stravinsky's work, and is in memory of his father, who was a blacksmith in one of the great forges in Halifax. The poem is a remarkable Middle English tour de force of alliteration, which reflects the noise, dirt, and sheer physicality of a working forge. Swart, smirched smiths, smattered with smoke, drive me to death with the din of their dents. Such noise on nights heard men never, such clashing of cries and clattering of knocks, and so on. This music is the nearest Dyson came to allying himself to the brutalist composers and their representations of machines and mechanical processes. I'm sure many will know Honegger's Pacific 231 and Mossolov's Iron Foundry as two well-known examples. But an article in a magazine called Musical America in 1939 pointed out that between the works of Dyson and Mossolov, there is a difference similar to that which exists between a painting of high artistic standard and a technically competent photograph. Lest there be any doubt, this was to Dyson's credit. In fact, we're given a clue to the physicality and excitingly aggressive feeling of Dyson's work from its German title, Waffenschmiede, which translates as smiths who make weapons of war. Dyson had had a hard First World War. A bomb had exploded underneath his horse and he'd been invalided out with shell shock. The seeds were now being sown for the forthcoming Second World War, and it's therefore no surprise that such music was being written in response to past and future mayhem. The Blacksmiths is an unusual and really exciting and involving work, which the choir is hugely enjoying singing. All this and a great piece for two pianos, Moi Mel by Bax, another composer of the same period. The Whitehall Choir thrives on its variety of programming and its delving into highways and byways of the choral repertory. Come and join us for a great evening in a sensational venue. Monday, the 11th of July, at the Banqueting House in Whitehall at 7 o'clock. All the details and how to get tickets are on our website, whitehallchoir.org.uk. I look forward very much to seeing you there.